My name is Hannah, and for 20 years, I was married to a man I didn't actually know. Not because he kept secrets. A lot of people have secrets. But because he looked me in the eye every single day and lied about the kind of person he was. And when I finally found out the truth, it wasn't from him. It was from a Venmo notification that popped up on his iPad he left on the kitchen counter. I know that sounds dramatic, but I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, because this story isn't about some crazy, made-up revenge fantasy. It's about what happens when you stop being quiet and start being smart. If you're watching this and you know what it feels like to be lied to by someone you trusted completely, hit that subscribe button, because the real ones watching know that staying silent is a choice and choosing not to is another. It was a Tuesday in March. Mark was at work. I was making coffee, and his iPad was sitting there like it always was. Open, because he never thought I'd actually look. We didn't have that kind of marriage where we needed passwords and privacy. Or at least, that's what I thought. The notification came through. Venmo payment sent to Tara Mitchell. What 800? Family support. I stared at it for maybe 10 seconds. Then I read it again. Family support. That word just sat there. Family. He wasn't thinking about his family when he sent that money. He wasn't thinking about me. I opened the Venmo app. I don't even know why. Some part of me already knew it was going to be bad, but I had to see it for myself. And there it was. $800. Every single month for the last, I scrolled back, 5 years, maybe longer. The app only showed so far back. My hands were shaking. I'm not being poetic about that. I actually set down my coffee because I thought I was going to drop it. I opened his email. I don't usually do this. I really don't. But I wasn't thinking straight anymore. I just typed Tara Mitchell into the search bar. There were hundreds of emails, hundreds. Going back years. Years? Talking about a boy, about school. About not telling Hannah because it would hurt the family. About keeping things simple. About making sure nobody found out because it would damage his reputation at work. Not damage the family. Not damage our marriage. Damage his reputation. I sat down on the kitchen floor. Actually sat down because my legs didn't feel solid anymore. And I called my best friend Nicole. I didn't even say hi. I just said, Mark has a son. He's been hiding a son for who knows how long. Nicole didn't say anything for a second. Then she said, what? Like I told her Mark was an alien. He's been sending money to a woman named Tara Mitchell. $800 a month. For years, Nicole. Years! Oh my God, Hannah. Are you sure? Like, are you completely sure? I was holding his iPad. I could see it right there. Yeah, I'm sure. That's when everything changed. Not in a dramatic movie way. In a real way. The kind of way where you realize that every conversation you had was built on a lie. Every time he told me I was enough. Every time he said he didn't want kids. Which was something we'd agreed on together. He was already a father. He was already sending money to another woman every single month. I didn't confront him that day. Everyone always expects that in these stories, like you're supposed to scream and cry and throw things. But honestly, I felt nothing at first. I felt like I was watching someone else's life happen. I was just taking screenshots, just putting things together, just thinking very clearly about what this meant. By the time Mark came home that night, I had a folder on my phone with 47 screenshots, bank statements going back 10 years, emails about little Marcus, references to birthday money, school tuition, and something called a college fund. He came through the door talking about his day. His day. He was telling me about some meeting at work that went badly, and I just looked at him and said, "Who's Tara Mitchell?" I watched his face. I actually watched it change in real time. I saw him calculate. I saw him try to figure out what I knew and how much damage he was already in. It took him like 5 seconds, and then he tried to smile. She's someone from before we were together. It's complicated. Is it though? I said. Is it complicated? Or did you just not want to tell me that you have a son? He didn't say anything. He just set down his briefcase. How long? I asked. How long have you been doing this? Hannah, we need to sit down and talk about this? No, we don't. I'm asking you a simple question. How long? He was born before we even met. I didn't. I don't care when he was born. I care about why you lied for 20 years. I care about the fact that you have an entire other family and you looked me in the face every single day and told me you didn't want kids. You remember that? You remember telling me you didn't want kids. And here's the thing that broke me the most. He looked at me, and he said, "That's different." How is that different? Because I didn't want to have kids with someone else while I was married to you. I actually laughed. I'm not joking. I actually laughed at that. Because the logic of that sentence was so broken, so twisted, that I couldn't even process it. He was trying to make it sound like he was being loyal. Like not having a second child while he was married to me meant he hadn't been cheating on the commitment we made. That's when I knew. In that exact moment, I knew that my marriage was over, and I also knew that I wasn't going to let him walk away from this quietly. I got up and I went to our bedroom and I locked the door. Mark knocked. He knocked for a while, saying stuff like, "Let's talk about this," and "You're overreacting," and "This isn't what it looks like." But it was exactly what it looked like. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed and I looked through every single email, every message. I learned about a boy named Marcus who was 19 years old. I learned that Mark paid for his school. I learned that Mark had spent money on him, lots of money, that should have gone into our savings, into our future, into the life we were supposed to be building together. And I learned that Tara Mitchell, the woman on the other end of all these payments, was probably just as mad as I was. Because from what I could see in the emails, Mark wasn't exactly present. He wasn't exactly a father. He was just someone who sent money to make the problem go away, and then he went back to his real life. His perfect life. The one he had with me. By the next morning, I had a plan. Not a revenge plan. Not yet. Just a plan to understand what I was dealing with and what I actually needed to do. I called a divorce lawyer before Mark even woke up. My lawyer's name was Susan, and she was the kind of woman who didn't waste time. I showed her everything. The screenshots, the bank statements, the emails. She read through them in maybe 15 minutes, and then she looked up at me and said, "He's going to fight this hard. He's going to try to make you look crazy. He's going to say that you're being vindictive. So we need to be very, very careful about what we do next." "What do you mean?" I asked. "I mean that you have documentation. That's good. But guys like your husband, they're used to talking their way out of things. He's probably going to tell people that you're going through something. That you're emotional. That you found something you didn't understand and you're making it into a bigger deal than it is." I shook my head. "It is a big deal." "I know," Susan said. "But we need to prove it in a way that makes him look like the liar, not the other way around. We need witnesses. We need corroboration. We need people who can testify that what you're saying is real." "Like who?" "Like Tara Mitchell." I hadn't even thought about that. I mean, I knew Tara existed. I knew she was real. But I hadn't thought about what it would mean to actually talk to her. What would I even say? "Hey, I know you've been sleeping with my husband for 2 decades. Well, you have a son with him, which is basically the same thing. Want to help me destroy him?" Susan must have seen something in my face because she said, "Look, you don't have to make a decision right now. But think about it. She might want what you want. And if she does, her testimony could change everything." The problem was finding her. I had her name and I had her email address from all the messages, but I wasn't about to just send her an email like, "Hi, I'm the wife. Let's talk." That's when I did something that I'm still not sure was smart or crazy. I looked her up on Facebook. It took me maybe 2 hours, but I found her. Tara Mitchell. No privacy settings. Her profile was just sitting there, and I could see her whole life in real time. Pictures of a kid. Marcus, I assumed. Over the years. Birthday parties. School photos. Graduation pictures. All these moments that Mark had apparently just paid for from a distance. Like he was buying his way out of actually being a father. But here's what got me looking at her pictures. I could see that Tara wasn't living some comfortable life. Mark sent her $800 a month, but her house looked like it needed work. Her pictures were from the same places over and over again. No vacations. No new car. She looked tired in most of them. I made a decision. I don't know if it was the right one, but I made it. I called her. I know. I actually called the number I found associated with her profile and just called her. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I was going to throw up. She picked up on like the 3rd ring. "Hello," Her voice was different than I expected, not cold, not angry, just tired. "Hey," I said, "is this Tara?" "Yeah." "Who is this?" "This is gonna sound insane," I said. My name is Hannah. I'm Mark's wife, and I know about Marcus." There was silence on the other end, for so long that I thought she might have hung up. Then she said, "Fuck." "Yeah," I said. "I know." "Did he send you too?" No, he doesn't know I'm calling. I found out yesterday, and I'm getting divorced. And my lawyer said that I should talk to you." Another silence. Then, "I don't want to be involved in this." "I get that," I said. "But I think you might want to hear what I have to say." She gave me an address, a coffee shop about 20 minutes from my house. And she said, "Tomorrow, 10 in the morning. And if this is some kind of trick, I'm leaving." I said, "Okay," and then I hung up. And I realized I had no idea what I was going to say to her. The coffee shop was one of those places with exposed brick and people on laptops and an espresso machine that was too loud. Tara was already there when I arrived. I recognized her from the Facebook pictures, but she looked different in person. Smaller, maybe. Older than her pictures suggested. She was wearing work scrubs, and I found out later that she'd come straight from a shift at a medical clinic. She didn't stand up when I sat down. She just looked at me and said, So? I said back. "Mark doesn't know you're here." "No." "Did he tell you about Marcus?" "Not exactly. I found out on my own." She nodded, like that made sense. Then she took a sip of her coffee and said, "He's a really good kid. Marcus. He's at community college right now studying engineering. He's never met his father." That hit me. I don't know why that hit me so hard, but it did. This kid was 19 years old and Mark had never met him. "Mark told me he didn't want kids," I said quietly. "Yeah, that sounds about right," Tara said. He didn't want to be a father. He wanted to send money and pretend he was doing the right thing, but he didn't want to actually show up. Not once. Not in 19 years. "I'm sorry," I said. "For what?" "You didn't do anything to me." "No, I'm sorry that happened to you." She looked at me for a long moment. Then she said, "You know what I've been doing for the last 19 years? I've been working 2 jobs. I've been trying to figure out how to pay for Marcus's school while also making sure he didn't feel like his father didn't care about him. Do you know how hard that is? Trying to tell your kid that his dad loves him when his dad never calls, never visits, never shows up." I didn't say anything. "And the money he sends me." "Hannah, I'm not going to pretend. I need that money. I can't work full-time and make enough to live on. But it's not enough to actually live good, you know. It's enough to exist. That's all. My lawyer said you might be willing to help me. In the divorce." "Help you how?" "Testify, tell the judge what he did, what he's been hiding, what he put you through." Tara stirred her coffee. She didn't look at me. "If I do that," she said slowly, "he's going to come after me. He's going to cut off the money. He's going to make my life harder than it already is." "I know," I said. "That's why I'm here. I'm not going to ask you to do that without anything in return." "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about hiring you," I said. "I have an office. Small community office. We could use someone. Real job, real paycheck, medical benefits, stable income, and you wouldn't have to depend on Mark's money anymore." She set down her coffee cup very carefully. "Why would you do that?" "Because," I said, "lied to both of us. And I'm tired of men like him getting away with it. I'm not going to tell you that Tara and I became best friends in that coffee shop. That's not what happened. What happened was that 2 women who had both been betrayed by the same man looked at each other across a table and realized that they had something in common that was stronger than any friendship could be. Survival, truth, and the knowledge that staying quiet wasn't going to help either one of them. "Okay," Tara said. "I'll do it, but only if the job is real. I don't want charity." "It'll be real," I said. "I actually do need help." We shook hands over coffee. Not because we were friends, but because we were making a deal. I brought Tara on as my assistant 2 weeks later. I gave her a real contract, real pay, and real responsibilities. I also gave her something else, access to documents. Not on purpose at first, but I wasn't hiding things anymore. All the files that Mark had begged me to keep quiet about were sitting in my office. The bank statements, the emails, the records of payments that he'd never reported to the IRS. The college fund he'd set up that he'd never mentioned to me. Tara would be doing filing, and she'd say things like, "Did you see this? He set up a 529 plan for Marcus and he's contributed like 40 grand to it." I hadn't seen it. There was so much. She'd bring me coffee and she'd say things like, "I've never seen all this." I knew he was sending money, but I didn't know about the college fund. Marcus has no idea. "Should I tell him?" "Let's wait," I said. "Let's get through the divorce first. Then you can decide what Marcus needs to know." We started going through everything systematically. Tara knew things about Mark that I could never have known, like the fact that he'd told her he was having financial problems and couldn't increase the amount he was sending, while at the same time he was bragging to me about a promotion and a bonus at work. She knew his lies. She could spot them. "Here," she said one day, handing me a piece of paper. "This email. He says he can't afford more than $800 a month. But look at the date. Look at when he sent you that diamond bracelet." I looked. 3 days after he told her he was struggling financially, he'd spent $2 grand on my birthday present. That's when I realized something. This wasn't just about Mark lying to me. It was about Mark lying to everyone. Presenting himself as this responsible, successful man when really he was just a guy who couldn't keep his stories straight. Tara and I started documenting everything. Real documentation. Not angry notes. Not emotional outbursts. Just facts. Times, dates, amounts. All very clear. All very provable. She'd sit at her desk and she'd say things like, "He's not going to like this. When this all comes out, he's going to be really mad. Let him be mad." I'd say, "He should have thought about being mad before he lied for 20 years. But honestly, I was scared too. I was scared that Mark was going to find out what we were doing. I was scared that he was going to turn this around somehow. I was scared that the judge wasn't going to see what I saw, that the judge was just going to see 2 women trying to destroy a man. "You think he knows?" Tara asked me one day. "About the job. Maybe. But he doesn't know about this." She nodded at the stack of papers in front of us. "All the evidence. All the proof. Good?" she said. "Because we're not done yet." Mark tried to settle for months. He kept calling me, trying to make it seem like we could work things out, not get back together. I think even he knew that was impossible, but like we could do this divorce quietly, cleanly, without all the drama. "Hannah," he'd say, "we don't need to make this ugly. We can just split things and move on." I'd listen to him, and I wouldn't say anything, because I was waiting. Waiting for Susan to file everything we'd gathered, waiting for the right moment. Tara would hear him on the phone sometimes, and she'd just shake her head. "He has no idea," she'd say. "No idea at all," I'd say back. The thing about Mark was that he was so sure of himself. He really believed that he could just talk his way out of this. That he could make me feel bad for being angry. That the world would just move on and forget about the secret son and the hidden accounts in the decade-long lie. He didn't understand that I wasn't trying to hurt him. I was just trying to make sure he couldn't hurt anyone else. Susan filed the subpoena on a Tuesday. She served it to his office. I watched it happen through Tara, who got a text from a friend who worked in the building where Mark worked. Within an hour, Mark called me. His voice was completely different. "What the hell, Hannah? What is this?" "It's a subpoena," I said calmly. "My lawyer needs your financial records. All of them. You can't do this. This is harassment. It's legal discovery," I said. My lawyer explained it all to me. "You have 30 days to provide complete financial records, including all accounts, all transfers, all unreported income. If you don't, the judge is going to be very interested in why you're refusing. Hannah, we can talk about this. We don't need to do this." "No," I said. "We don't need to do this. You needed to just tell me the truth. But you didn't. So now we're doing this." I hung up. He called back 3 times that night. I didn't answer. Tara was sitting in my living room, and she just looked at me and said, "He's freaking out." "Good," I said. "He should be freaking out." The subpoena required Mark to disclose everything. And I mean everything. The college fund, the monthly payments, the fact that he'd been claiming Marcus as a dependent on his taxes without reporting it properly, the unreported income, the accounts he'd hidden from me. All of it. He tried to fight it. He got his own lawyer, and they tried to argue that some of the records were private, that they were irrelevant to the divorce. But Susan was ready for that. She'd prepared for every argument he could possibly make. The fact that he has a dependent child that his wife doesn't know about is absolutely relevant to spousal support and asset division. Susan said in court. The fact that he's been hiding financial accounts is relevant to everything. Mark looked smaller in court than he did at home. That's what I remember most about seeing him there. He looked like a man who'd finally realized that talking his way out wasn't going to work. The judge ordered him to produce the records. All of them. And she didn't look happy about it. 2 weeks later, we had everything. Bank statements going back 15 years. Records of every payment. Proof that he'd set up the college fund without telling me. Proof that he'd been supplementing Tara's income with money he claimed he didn't have. And then Susan did something that I didn't expect. She called Tara to testify. Tara was terrified. She came to work that morning and she looked like she hadn't slept. "What if he comes after me?" she asked. "What if he sues me or something?" "He won't," I said. "And even if he tries, my lawyer will handle it. You're protected." I'm not sure she believed me. But she showed up to court anyway. And when she sat on the stand and told the judge what it had been like for 19 years, raising a son alone, working 2 jobs, depending on the money from a man who wouldn't even acknowledge his own child, something shifted in the room. Mark couldn't even look at her. She talked about the times Marcus asked why his dad never called. She talked about struggling to pay for his school. "No," Tara said. "He never asked how Marcus was doing. He never asked what he needed. He just sent the money and pretended that was enough." Mark's lawyer tried to make her sound bitter, tried to suggest that she was doing this for revenge. But Tara just looked at him and said, "I'm not here for revenge. I'm here because I'm tired of lying." Marcus deserves better than that. We all do. When I took the stand, I brought all the screenshots, all the emails, all the evidence of his lies to me. And I talked about what it felt like to realize that the person you'd built your entire life with had been lying the entire time. "Did you know about the child?" the judge asked me. "No," I said. "I didn't know. He told me he didn't want children. We agreed on that together. But the whole time, he had a son. He just didn't think I was worth telling." "And the financial accounts?" "He hid them from me. I found 8 accounts that I didn't know existed. He told me we were struggling financially, but he was spending money on the accounts, on the college fund, on things he didn't want me to know about." The judge listened to all of it. She read all the documents, and then she made her ruling. Mark had to disclose all his assets, all of them. The hidden accounts, the college fund, everything. He had to pay for full disclosure of his income for the last 15 years, which meant his taxes were probably going to be audited. And because of the deception, the judge ordered him to pay more than he wanted to in the divorce settlement. But here's the thing that actually mattered. The judge made it clear that she didn't believe him. She didn't trust him. And everyone, his family, his colleagues, the people who read about it online, now knew that he wasn't the person he pretended to be. His perfect image was gone. I kept Tara on at my office after the divorce was finalized. We weren't friends exactly, but we had something. We had honesty. We had an understanding. "What are you going to do?" I asked her one day about 2 months after the judge's ruling. "About what?" "About everything. You don't need the job to survive anymore. You have the settlement from the divorce case. You have stability." "Yeah," she said. "But I like working here, and honestly, I like that I don't have to depend on Mark anymore. I like that I'm making my own money. I like that I'm in control of my life for the first time in 19 years. I understood that completely. Mark tried to contact me a few times after the ruling. He sent emails saying things like, "I can't believe you did this to me," and "You've destroyed my life," and "I hope this was worth it." I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. He did, however, start calling Marcus. I found out about it from Tara. Marcus came home one day and said his dad had called him. They talked for 20 minutes. Marcus said his dad cried and said he was sorry. I asked Tara what she thought about that. "I think it's too late," she said. "I think Marcus is happy to know his dad exists and that his dad cares. But I also think Marcus is smart enough to see what his dad did. And I don't think he's going to forget that his dad chose not to be his dad for 19 years. That's what revenge really is, I think. It's not about burning someone's house down or getting them arrested or destroying their life. It's about making sure they can't hide anymore. It's about telling the truth so loud that no one can ignore it. It's about not being quiet. Mark didn't lose his job. He's still working. But he has a reputation now. People know what he did, and he has to live with that. And me, I moved on. I got a place of my own. A smaller place than the house we shared, but it's mine. I decorated it the way I wanted. I filled it with things that made me happy. I started seeing a therapist to work through all the anger and betrayal and hurt that I didn't know I was carrying. And I learned something that I think a lot of people need to hear: staying quiet doesn't protect you. It just protects the people who hurt you. So that's the story. That's what happened when I found out about Mark's secret life. I didn't burn down his house. I didn't get violent. I didn't do anything dramatic or illegal. I just got strategic. I got honest. I got another woman involved who'd been wronged just like I was. And I made sure that the truth came out in a place where it mattered. In front of a judge. And yeah, it took a long time. And yeah, it was hard. But it was real. It was clean. And most importantly, it was right. If you're in a situation like mine, if someone you love has betrayed you, if someone's been lying to your face, if you're not sure whether to speak up or stay quiet, I want you to know something: speaking up doesn't make you crazy. It doesn't make you vindictive. It makes you real. And the people who say you should be quiet, they're usually the ones with something to hide. So here's what I need from you right now. If this story meant something to you, if you know what it feels